welcome to this week's PennEnergy News Update. I'm Hilton Price. Iraq has resumed oil exports to Turkey after an explosion along a Turkish pipeline led to a 3-day halt. The flow was resumed Wednesday at around 350,000 barrels a day. The explosion happened Monday and is being blamed on the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party, PKK. The explosion was initially feared to stop gas flow for up to 10 days, but crews were able to repair the pipeline ahead of schedule. Turkey imports 300,000 barrels of oil daily from northern Iraq. An oil refinery in the Northern California city of Richmond caught fire on Monday evening. The fire caused no significant injuries. Workers were able to evacuate once a leak was identified. The fire burned overnight and was extinguished the next morning after a controlled burn was conducted to help relieve pressure within the unit. But now hospitals in the surrounding region are reporting more than 200 people were seen complaining about respiratory issues in the wake of the fire, as communities warned residents to remain indoors and away from the smoke. The San Jose Mercury News reports that the incident spurred criticism about the warning systems in place to protect residents from accidents at the massive oil refining plant, which many were unaware of even as the fires were ongoing. Officials from Cuban national oil company Cuba Petroleo announced Monday that the country's second exploratory offshore oil well has proved to be unproductive. Because of a U.S. embargo of Cuba, oil companies exploring around the country have been forced to rely upon a single rig constructed of less than 10% American-made parts. This has made exploration difficult. Spanish oil company Repsol attempted one well that came up dry in May, but soon after opted out of a second proposed well. This second dry well was drilled in concert by Petronas subsidiary PC Gulf and Gazprom Neft from Malaysia and Russia, respectively. An oil pipeline owned by Canadian firm Enbridge was allowed to restart on Tuesday after being forced to close in the wake of a spill in Wisconsin late last month. The pipeline, which brings crude oil from the Canadian tar sands to oil refineries in and around Chicago, leaked around 1,200 barrels of oil into a field near the town of Grand Marsh. This same pipeline was involved in a much larger spill in 2010, which pumped more than 20,000 barrels of oil into Michigan's Kalamazoo River. Startup was only permitted as long as Enbridge agreed to meet weekly with regulators regarding compliance with safety standards, as well as having a third-party analysis of the pipeline. Rising production could lead the Marcellus shale play to become the largest source of natural gas production in the U.S. Shale gas production in the country has been steadily rising over the past decade. Initially, fastest producing regions were regions like the Texas Haynesville shale play. However, production in the Marcellus shale has risen dramatically in just a matter of years, more than doubling from 3.6 billion cubic feet last April to 7.4 billion cubic feet this July. Several major gas pipelines are scheduled for completion later this year as well, which could allow gas production to rise even further. With July's production already representing 1/4 of all gas production in the country, the Marcellus region could soon surpass the Haynesville play as the largest single producer. Thank you for joining us this week. For these stories and more, go to PennEnergy.com.